Take two. Hi, everybody. Heather Vickery, transformational success coach. I am here with my friend and former client, Pam Stamper. We're hanging out together in Houston.
Yeah, my home space at a conference for my company, actually, where we got to start working together.
Yeah.
How long has it been? Like 3 years?
It's been 3 years since I've been working with you. I've been working with this firm for about 5.
Yeah.
There's people next door now, so you can probably hear them too. That's super fun. So Pam has been amazing in the last few months as I have been prepping the Brave Entrepreneur Incubator, and she's been a great sounding board. She's showed me where there are holes in the program. She's celebrated what's totally working. But what I love the most about you is that you aren't afraid to ask questions.
No.
You ask and ask and ask, and it's magical. And I figured today, since we're in the same space, if you have all of these questions about the incubator, I'm thinking maybe some of you have questions as well. So just a quick recap. If you've been following my Instagram stories, I've been talking about it a lot. And those of you who know me well probably also know that that's not totally my MO. Like, I don't love putting my own picture up there and promoting my own stuff. Like, it takes a lot for me to do that. But I'm super fucking excited about this program. I have taken all of the other programs that I've ever done, my one-on-one stuff, all of my learning, and I've been doing a lot of learning in the last couple of years, and created this 16-week incubator intensive program that's like nothing I've ever seen offered before. And I'm just really proud of it, and I'm really, really, really excited. And so Pam and I said, let's go live. And Pam's going to ask me questions that maybe you guys have also. And if you guys have questions, we're going to try to answer them if either of us can actually see them, because the camera's propped up really far away from where
if we can't get them in the live, we can definitely follow up. And I would say, even for those of you that are interested in the incubator, sometimes it's a big deal to trust the person that is promoting themselves. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, you are promoting yourself, and so you believe, obviously, in what you're doing.
I do.
I would be more than willing to answer questions for the why for the folks that join, or to do work with you in a community that you create up in a program that you've created specifically for folks to be able to be them authentic selves, like as a business owner, as an entrepreneur, as a business leader. And so definitely feel free to even direct questions at me. I'll be honest.
We'll tag her.
I'll be honest. I won't just be afraid of answering.
She is very honest. But so Pam,
I do have questions for you about that.
And I want you to ask them. But I just want to give people a point of reference. So Pam, you've been in two different programs that I have created and run. The first one was sponsored by your company.
Yep.
It's called the Empowerment Program. Corporate folks, it's so cool. And that's one of the reasons I'm here in Houston with these folks.
If you do work for a corporation that doesn't have a lot of leadership programs and you want to see that incorporated, I will always be here to pitch that too.
And then after you graduated from that, you joined my program, the Intentionally Brave Entrepreneurs.
I did.
Which was really a great program, you guys.
It was.
It was really special. But it was a year-long commitment, a weekly, multiple hours a week commitment, like a lot of really, really intense work for a really long period of time. So I sent an email with those of you who are on my newsletter list, and I know you are, and you saw this last week. Like, I gave up the Intentionally Brave Entrepreneurs, even though it was my main revenue source. I lost 50% of my income because it had grown so much that it no longer felt aligned for me. And that was really, really scary, even though it was such a beautiful program. But we have multiple cohorts. So these guys were working hours and hours a week, and I was working, 6 times that, because we had 6 active cohorts at one point.
I didn't realize you had so many active cohorts.
It was intense. It was intense. And I didn't do it all by myself. So if any of my past, I had other coaches helping and things like that. And it just grew really quickly. And I didn't have as much control. And it just didn't feel like what I wanted it to feel like anymore as a leader.
Interesting.
So I decided not to renew it. We've let all of the cohorts, run their course. And I then spent like months going, now what am I going to do? Now what are you going to do, Heather? How are you going to help people? What are you going to do? And then I got to the incubator. And so you can see I went from a year-long, multi-hour a week commitment to a 16-week multi-hour a week commitment. That sounds crazy. A couple hours a week, right? But really fucking fantastic and very dialed in. So ask your questions. And do we have a question? Who? I think that's Brian.
I can
Test
read that.
You can read it. Thanks, Brian.
You're the best.
That's funny. We can kind of read it. I'm an old lady with glasses, so I'm like, what does it say?
I got it. I don't mind being awkward in the live video, so I'll just like come to it as I see them come in.
Thanks, Brian.
So you actually answered a lot of some of the background that I wanted to ask you, because I do have to say, you know, I do ask a lot of questions, and I did challenge you today. I asked you, like, why the incubator, and what you're most excited about. And so I think that you definitely just answered a lot of the why. And it's something that makes me really excited, because as someone that has attended 2 of your programs, I'm so curious to get to see like how this new program is transformational for other people. So before we go into more of that, why are you most excited? Like, what are you most excited for? Because you're finally expressing this with other people. I feel like I've been in like some of the sidelines of like getting your excitement, but I'm like, let's tell other people like why you're emotionally like drawn, like what you're so excited about.
Okay, so I'm going to try to be as succinct with this answer as possible. But it isn't an easy answer. As an entrepreneur, we create things to sell, to serve all the time. And we don't always madly love them, but we feel like we should be doing them. And I really wanted to stay away from the should space. And there were a couple of other things that were in the works for months, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on them. I couldn't make myself publish that sales page and put them out there, and I couldn't figure out what it was. So for those of you who've been around a minute, you're familiar with the Brave Method. If you're not, the Brave Method is my coaching method to help you creatively and strategically problem solve, dream, design, build, and actually have a life and a business that you are madly fucking in love with, right? And so what I realized I'd been doing was trying to use the Brave Method as the vehicle to support and serve, and somehow it didn't feel right. The Brave Method is amazing. We'll talk about that with you. I use you as an example all the time, as a 360 approach to everything. But it somehow wasn't the right capsule. And then there was a moment, truly like 2 months ago, I was getting my hair done. Like, that's the moment. I was like in this hair salon chair with hair color in my hair, and I had a shower cap on, and I went, wait a minute. What if the Brave Method is just the solution? It doesn't have to be the vehicle for how I share this. Like, it could be anything. And that, which I coach people on all the time, is like, look for a creative way in. How can you do this differently? Don't be attached to the way you've always done things. And when that hit me, I grabbed a notebook and literally wrote out the entire 16-week program in an hour. Like, I was so excited. It just channeled right out. Sometimes in the woo-woo world, we call that a download. I got this whole download. And I thought, I can help folks get clarity and awareness. Like, really, really, really understand who they want to be, what they want their life to look like, how they want to move through it, and how a business can complement that. I can help people practice big stuff, surrender and forgiveness and learning to love themselves. I can combine human design, which is something I'm getting certified in, and it's game changing. So we can put a little woo, we can do affirmations, and we can do EFT tapping, and then we can be analytical and apply the Brave Method and see how it works in every situation and everything that we're doing. And I was able to put it together in this 4-month package that I felt finally like you can get exactly what you need from all of this in 4 months. You show up, you spend this intense time with us, and it will set you down the right path. and it will literally transform people's lives. And I know that it works. That's what I'm excited about.
I love your excitement. For one, I stay excited about the business that you do because to me, the key, the heartbeat of life is community and networking. And I think it changes the game when you create these cohorts. And so doing a 16-week program where you are going to get to have all of that passion with other folks that are looking to connect and
yes.
which was my next question. I know you talk a lot about it on the new landing page of like welcoming everyone to like go check it out for the incubator.
Waitlist. We're waitlisting for the incubator right now.
And you talk about like the for the who, but like in this situation right now, like who's it for? Like who is this program specifically for?
That's a great question. So as a coach, I have worked with corporations like the one that Pam works for, and then also Pam's building her own empire on the side, hence the second program she joined. But I have two lanes of business. So I have the corporate lane, and then I work with entrepreneurs. I tend to work with entrepreneurs who are super heart-centered, who are really aware of the fact that we're stronger together.
Yep.
And I feel big things about it. It made me like get a little emotional. Who value community. So who it's for. It's for people who this is not for brand new folks in business. I love you all. I think you're amazing, and I can recommend some really, really great programs and some great coaches to help you start a business.
Right.
The incubator is for people who have already got at least 5 years of business experience. You might be transforming your business. Maybe you're starting something new, but you're not new to business in general. And I think that's a really important distinction. I chose not. A lot of these programs, they'll put like you need to be earning a certain amount of money per month. I chose not to do that because I didn't want it to limit anybody high or low.
Right.
But what we're not going to do, what I'm not going to do is I'm not going to help you build web pages. I'm not going to help you, build out systems. We will talk about what you might need, and I can make referrals to people you might want to bring onto your team and support you. But this is more about a 360 approach to loving your what I'm calling your first class life.
Yeah.
And to clarify that's going to be different for everyone. What you're going to think is what you want to be your first class life is different than mine. Last week I had a conversation with the social media manager at my kid's school. She's got 2 clients. She's a writer and does social media stuff. And she's like, I fucking love my life. I don't have any debt. I have this cute little apartment. People don't need anything or want anything from me. I show up, I do my job, and then I get to spend the rest of my time doing Tai Chi. Right? I mean, I love Tracy like that. And Tracy's like, I love my life. That is Tracy's first class life. Yeah. For some people, it's literally flying first class. And it's being in 5-star hotels. It's having a whole team of people. Like, there's room for all of that. And we're going to get really clear on what your first class life is and then how to build it. Because I do have a system to help you build it and break through those glass ceilings that I feel like are so often self-imposed.
I was going to ask I think because there's so much diversity for the type of entrepreneurs that you are working with or looking to work with in the incubator. Would you say that it even is a good home? And this is kind of a selfish question. Ooh. Is it a good home? Is the incubator a good fit for maybe those folks that have been in years of the process of like doing their own non-for-profit business, like starting, because I feel like those folks have a lot of heart and are sometimes like left to the wayside because of some of those financial caps that a lot of programs have. Yeah. They miss out on some coaching opportunities. So do you think the incubator would be even a space for those creatives, those entrepreneurs that are maybe more scaled back from financial gain, but truly doing impactful work in the non-for-profit
I think
space?
Anybody who's doing heart-centered work would truly benefit from this. But you've got to be willing to invest. So there is a financial investment, but even more than that, like really invest your time and your attention and your energy, because the community element of it requires you to be invested. The networking, the support, the accountability of it requires you to care about more than yourself. I have had people, I even had people who joined IBE at one point who came back later and said, it's not a good fit because I don't really care what these other people are doing. And that's fine. It's just then my programs aren't the right program for you because we deeply
collective.
care
It's definitely
about collective community.
deeply collective.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. But whether you're a travel agent, I work with some travel agents, and I have, I know there are a lot of you here who follow building out that business, whether you want to add people to your team, if you're looking to pivot, maybe you're in the events industry and it's time to take it to something else, or whatever you want to start. I mean, nonprofit too. You just have to be heart-centered, and you have to be willing to really emotionally and financially invest.
And maybe not less of a question, maybe a bit more for affirmation from you. When I think of this incubator space too, and I think about those that are interested in working together, is this space what you see as something for a collective mind of folks to really just build off of ideas with each other?
Absolutely.
Like I think from the outside, and I get the luxury, I do work in a corporate space, so I have a larger network on a day-to-day basis. Entrepreneurs don't. And so when you even started like pitching the idea of the incubator, I wanted to cry, because I know what I've like experienced in collective community from intentionally brave entrepreneurs, to see that like those brave entrepreneurs have a home to keep building, to get through. Because if you're in one of those stuck seasons, maybe this is where the question is, like if you're in a stuck season as a business owner, maybe it's like murky for you because you've lost some drive.
Sure.
I know we've talked about that in your own experience. I think the incubator that you've created for your own life helps.
We teach what we just need to learn, right? Yeah.
Our podcast episode from the summer.
Yeah, we should link that, because Pam interviewed me earlier this summer to kick off Pride Month, and we talked about that.
Yeah. Just doing the things that you practice what you preach,
Yeah.
But I feel like seeing the incubator and even knowing your excitement, I think that this is like a perfect space for those folks that like want to go to that next level, that want the community, that you may be like building a new software that you're using for business, but like how do you do that alone? Or what does that feel like as you're going through those transitions? It's so much better when you have a collective group of folks that,
so much better.
even if it's just like sharing your experience, you may not like have the same problem, you're not worked with the same software, but just like, don't you feel like you have a home for those folks like that can just bounce those ideas, like feel seen in the day-to-day struggles of what it looks like to be an entrepreneur?
You hit the nail on the head. It's so much about feeling seen and not feeling alone in that day-to-day experience, right? So we just like
busy. It's just busy today. It's fine.
Corner conference room. The thing about group coaching, collective community coaching, and the incubator is guided. There's actual curriculum. This is the first time that I have ever released anything that has an actual curriculum, but it also does come with collective coaching, coach on call, one-on-one support as you need it. But hearing other people have aha moments, struggle, have a hard time showing up, or feel great, or celebrate, inspires in all of us. Like, we can see ourselves in those experiences, even if we haven't had the exact same experience.
Right.
And I've never done a group coaching call, ever, where there isn't at least one moment where somebody says, when you said that, I realized this, or I felt that, or I can relate to that, or I had the same question, right? And so we learn so much from one another, and there is this element of peer-to-peer support. And so we're getting a guided curriculum. There's real learning. We're getting applying the Brave method, which I really do want to talk with you about what that means in all sorts of different ways, right? Applying the Brave method. Brave is an acronym: boundaries, the 3 R's: reassessment, reframing, resilience, action and accountability, vulnerability, and then your result is expand and empower. And doing real things, like getting into the weeds, doing the work, not only creating a plan, but actualizing your plan, being in the transformational space actively.
Right.
Yeah.
That accountability that comes, and that's, I can't not think of that when we're even thinking about the incubator. It is just a built-in, because the Brave method is the solution. It's not the vehicle. And that accountability is such a big part. And to have accountability, you have to have community. And so, like,
you do.
Designing a space to help with, we go back to that collective mindset, folks. You have a space to build community, to have that accountability through those moments. And that's a game changer for your life.
It is. And realizing that you've gone maybe as far as you can go all by yourself. Like
that's the brave part. That's the brave part. Like when you think about like being brave, it is that like recognizing that self-awareness of like, I'm really good at what I do, but like something needs to shift, or like I need to go the next step. I need to do something to shake it up, to get that passion back. Like that to me is really, really brave, and that self-awareness. And I think that is the people that you're looking for.
Absolutely.
It needs to be someone that is that, not only just that self-aware, but vulnerable
For sure.
that concept of like being a part of community for the greater good of their own business, their own life.
Yeah. I mean, we're really redefining what it means to be brave. Sometimes brave is speaking up, and sometimes it's not speaking up. Sometimes it's being strong, and sometimes it's feeling all of your feelings and allowing yourself to not feel strong. Yeah. Right?
Lessons for Pam.
Lessons for everybody. Sometimes it's not solving everybody else's problems. That's brave. That one's a lesson for Pam. But I bet some of you can identify. Your brave is going to look different every day, probably several times a day. Your opportunity. Now, so let's talk about that, because brave is my business. Embracing Bravery, the Brave Method, the Brave House podcast, Fuck Fearless, my book. All of my stuff is around this notion of being brave. And I think some people, maybe my eldest child is really sick of the word brave, but I think it's because they allow it to mean something it doesn't mean. And so what does that mean to you now? Like, how, as you move through your day, what is your relationship with bravery?
I don't think since the fall of 2020 that I've went a day and not considered brave.
I'm glad to hear that.
I'm one of those people that definitely is on the train of like, what would Heather do? Even if that is just like looking to the solution. I truly see brave as a solution. That aha moment for you was really awesome, because that definitely resonated more with me of how I see it. But for me, thinking through like being brave is both always on those sides. Like, is it to stand up, or is it to like sit down? Is it to not solve the world's problems, or is it recognizing where I do need to fight? You know, particularly like being a woman, a white woman with privilege in a workspace. Like I have a certain like space to step up, to be brave, to use my voice, to use my privileges. But then there are other times when I need to recognize, like, don't do that, Pam. But I truly walk through the motions of the 3 R's. I mean, I think in 2021, like, changed my life. Of like, I used the concept of reframing the narrative that I tell myself. I think that comes into play when you're in an incubator. I do not have like my own business at this moment, and didn't in the IBE program, but I started to shift my life and like my thinking. And when the day comes that I launch business in whatever capacity that looks like, I will be better for it, because reframing the narratives that I've told myself for years, or reframing the way that I may look at something because it seems so unattainable. But that only came with having that accountability through community and IBE, like working with other folks and seeing that. And so to me, there's not really days that I go without like thinking about being brave, or the commitment that being brave and like using the Brave Method has for community. I can't do it one without the other.
Pam, would you say, and we totally just were like, let's go live, that we don't have like a list of questions. It's not scripted, for real. So she's not been prepped for this question, and it's kind of a big question.
Oh,
so
gosh.
I'm like, okay,
Here we go.
Is she going to answer it the way I think she's going to answer it? Would you say that the Brave Method has been a source of freedom for you?
1000%. I think that so often we as individuals, like outside of all the societal, social norms, expectations, the politics, the professionalism, the shoulds, kept me bound. But even more than those things, because I definitely am a buck authority kind of person, more than that, I have learned the last few years of how much I held myself captive. I held myself captive by my thought patterns, or the way that I stayed so harsh. I know one of the biggest things, like one of my first hurdles and something to be conscious of working with you, was reevaluating how like I showed up. So hard and so close to think that was the badass way to show up. And truly the badass way to show up was like actually when I broke. And that was like, it's just like that's where the freedom came from. It is like letting like those chains that break from the shoulds that I had given myself. Like I have to look this way. I should interact with people like this. I should do these things, but through setting boundaries and reframing, reassessing how I'm doing every day, how I'm working.
Showing up again different.
Yes, and that was one of the things I wanted to hit on with talking about that freedom of like expectations of working with you. And my accountability partner actually texted me this when I asked a question today about like what they would do to actually like promote what you do, and we collectively agree you require that. That is an expectation. Like it is. You're not doing this program, you're not having the incubator for this like one-sided thing, for like me to pay you this, for you to give me these collective resources so I can get better at X, Y, and Z. You're daily pushing to see that freedom for someone, and not that you've pre-identified it. I don't think that even in our relationship,
super customized. It has to be.
You didn't have it like fully laid out day one of like what I needed to reach my freedom or what that looked like, but there was a collective way of you working with me, and still to this day of asking those harder questions, like reassessing like how we're even engaging, how I'm engaging with things that I'm committed to. Or like my accountability partner said, Heather's going to call you on your shit.
Yeah.
Like
I'm gonna call you on your shit.
When the freedom that I have now, because some of the things that I let, and I have to reassess and reframe. It's a daily process for growing. All of us do. We don't just arrive. But this, like the concept of not shoulding myself in some of those places.
Shoulding.
Not shoulding. I love saying that. I don't know why. I find myself often when people say, well, like you should do this, or if I catch myself saying, I'm like, fuck, I should.
Yeah, we're not here for should.
Because there's freedom in just designing your own way of living, and you do that as a coach. Like you do that work individually with folks, and regardless of like all of us in different spaces in the incubator. I can't wait to see for a collective-minded people that are like a few years into business and getting to bounce those ideas off of each other. Because at the end of the day, it's like when you go to a retreat or like you do go on vacation and you're like, like I just needed that.
Yeah.
I feel like that's what you offer.
Oh,
like because like when you get to be around collective people, even this conference that we're at right now, when you get to be around of like-minded folks, people that have a similar intentions and goals and a commitment,
they're invested.
That investment.
Yep.
Because you have to have a commitment. You have to be invested in like what, but that's also can't work with Heather and not learn about intentionality and being intentional about your choices. Life isn't just happening to you. You're making conscious choices.
It's true.
But like if your conscious choice is to invest in a certain community and like work with people, like you begin to see even some of those layers like peel back and like your own freedom through that, because you are spending that dedicated time. And so getting to have folks that, it's refreshing. You get to be around people that understand where you come from. It may not be the same thing, but get to grow and build off of each other's like passions or hard parts. Like we learn a lot through the ickiness.
And you learn to hold space for other people, which when you're really conscious of it and aware, then leads to you learning to hold space for yourself.
Yes.
But by doing, and actually it's interesting that you brought that up, because as I'm hearing you say that really was, it's why I'm doing one cohort at a time. It's why this is not an evergreen product. It's live and interactive, and it is custom, because it's got to be client-led. It's got to be member-led. Like your growth and your work comes from you, and I hope to guide and inspire. I hope to enlighten and help you transform, but you have to do the work, and it's going to be different. So we're going to everyone in the incubator is going to interpret the work in a different way, because they're living a different life and they have a different business. And so for me to be fully invested and to be aligned, it was really important for me to do this as a standalone, versus having multiple at a time or pre-recording it. It just doesn't feel authentic to me. I want to be in community and conversation with the members of the incubator and transforming together, and that's what we're getting.
and this, again, we're not scripted, and I may get in trouble later.
No.
For those of you listening, if you did do the IBE program, if you were a part of any of the cohorts, and you are one of those business owners that, like, it was a different method. It was a different setup. Like, yes, the Brave...
Same method,
same
different
Brave
setup.
method. Same, like... But like the vehicle is different. Like the method of transportation is a bit different.
Yeah.
And so if you've done IBE and like worked with Heather before, I would still say like consider where you're at in your business. Like consider where you're at and where you've come from having that accountability and what that program, what that vehicle of transportation looked like to this different space. Because I think that this is a work that doesn't ever go away. It doesn't matter if you've been in your business for 5 years, for 10 years, if you've done a coaching program before, this is going to be different when you're working with a different set of people. And I think that the name incubator really encompasses that in a different way, because it's truly this, like, it's a space to like grow and evolve, but it's different. The temperature is different with different people. It's going to look different with the different types of entrepreneurs that you work with. But truly, I feel really passionate about that. And we didn't plan on that, but I'm like...
And I do think we have at least one former IBE member who is going to join the incubator.
Oh, yeah.
So that's kind of exciting if you're watching this. Hey!
But of your others, like I would truly say, like, really sit with yourself and think about that and think about, like, what you gained from those experiences within those cohorts to a different type of focus and energy. Because I think that there, even some business owners I think about that were in my cohort, it was really different from the levels of engagement and the type of people that were in my cohort to where they're really going to benefit from an incubator. Like, that's a really powerful place to be concentrated, focused on that dreaming part. It's going to be like, I don't know, like, and even you getting more excited today and how you want to talk about collective community and like where you're really passionate about it really gives light to that in a different way, I think.
Yay! All right. Well, so I appreciate you doing this with me super last minute. I just want to let you all know I set this up a little differently. We have a wait list for it right now. It's not like a school wait list. It's not like there are so many people that you might not get in. The wait list is for people who are excited, who believe in the work that I'm doing, and they want to know more. And folks who are on the wait list, and it went live yesterday. It's open for 1 week. If you join the wait list, you get bonuses. Some of those bonuses include early access to me as a coach on call, one-on-one calls. We have a couple of bonus webinars that are only going to the people who join from the wait list. And then waitlisters will have 5 days to register for the event even before I've like actually published the sales page, even before anybody who's not on the wait list has access to it. And then there's an application. Mm-hmm. And I'm not trying to like make y'all jump through hoops, but it's an application so that you can make sure this is what you want. And then we're going to have a conversation, you and me, and then we'll get you enrolled in the incubator. And I'm keeping it pretty small. It's a small group, which is why the wait list is important. You get the bonuses and the early access, because once I have filled the cohort, it's closed. This is not available for hundreds of people. It's just not. It's in order for me to serve you the way I want to. We have to keep it to a smaller group.
I think it's really cool that you brought in an application process for this, because there is a lot of intentionality when you go into any kind of coaching relationship of like figuring out where you're at, like what your investment is. Mm-hmm. And so if you like, I feel like those that are watching or listening are curious, join the wait list. I mean,
right. You're not committing to anything.
You may vet out that it doesn't make sense for you. It may not work. It may not be what you're looking for at this time, but I think that you could even use that, it goes into building, like, what are your intentions for the next quarter? Like,
absolutely.
What are you looking to do? Like, is this something that you could invest in, like the content that you provide? I think that's really cool.
Thanks. So you can join the waitlist by going to vickeryandco.com/waitlist. It's very easy. Even if you think you're a little curious and you might want to apply and be a part of the incubator, join the waitlist, because the benefits and the bonuses are fucking killer. So, if I do say so myself. I can't see who's here. Oh, Alpaca, hello, my love.
So many folks in this.
Ashley, one of my one-on-one clients, is here. I can't see all the rest of you, but I'm so glad you guys are here. I'm so grateful to Pam. Y'all see Pam all the time because she just keeps showing up. I have to tell you, that's one of my, you and a handful of other clients, you just always say yes to what I put out there. You show up, you trust me, you believe in the work that I'm doing, and so it just is a reminder to me that I am aligned, that this is the right work, and that it really does change lives. And so I just love you.
Thank you.
All right, let's see if we can pull this closer and get a little face close up here. Because then we're going to turn it off. And so this is Heather and Pam. Thank you guys for hanging out. And go join that waitlist, vickeryandco.com/waitlist. And
Do it.
I'll see you soon. Thanks for hanging out.
Thanks, everyone.
Bye.